Hello. Welcome, everyone. Welcome to the office hours. Let's get to the office. Hi, my name is Paul Berserker01 Batman Shelley, your humble host and space bartender here at the AstroPub, your space bar at the end of the universe. Sit back, relax, enjoy the show. We got a good one for you. How y'all doing? Welcome to the dark time. The hype, but dark time. Though CIG seems to be insistent on, even though they're going to be pretty quiet, it seems like they're going to be running it up to the very edge. You're late. I had to play Star Citizen. I had to play Star Citizen. No, you don't understand. According to my my YouTube comments on the latest Astro Historian video, there is no game. Star Citizen does not exist. You cannot play Star Citizen because it doesn't exist. How y'all doing? So I'm not going to talk about a ton of the leaks because the reason why is twofold. Number one, I am an Evocati, so I can talk about leaks if I can play them. But they're in leaked builds of Evocati, so they're in violation. The fact that they got them in the first place, or whoever gave it to them, was in violation of it in the first place. Yeah, so I'm not going to talk about it too much. I did talk a little bit about it last time. There are some interesting stuff we'll talk about in general, but I'm not going to like play you the audio clips. I'm not going to show you the stuff because a lot of that stuff is data mined. Though, as I've been told by many CIG employees, generally speaking, if it's in a build, they want us to see it. Like, they generally aren't just keeping us on the honor system for everything, you know. The new music isn't actually new music. It's just the song from the Star Engine trailer. It's just, that's the new theme song. That's the Star Citizen theme song now, which is good. I think it's a better theme song than they had before. Yeah, it might be slightly, it's probably slightly tweaked, but it's the same thing. It's this song. Hold on. This was the original theme song. It's not though. If you listen, there are way more layers that intertwine the current music with Star Engine music. It sounds amazing. It sounds good. I've listened to it, but I don't feel that like that's a huge leak. It's just neat.
But you can never.
This is definitely gonna be the main menus.
Ever take away my space game.
OB 2447 just resubscribed for 11 months. AAAWWWW baby. Running for that 1 year. Here's to you, Paul.
Oh yeah, baby. Thank you so much, Yubi, for that 11 months of support. You're very important, Papa. Very impressive. You're very pedestrian. This is your fault. The reason drinking night. Shots and cheers and chat. Y'all shots and cheers. You don't actually work at Ubisoft, right, Yubi? Because I know there's somebody else who was in chat who has Ubi in their name, and they're actually working at Ubisoft. Because like, I was like, damn. Because right now, it looks pretty fucking bleak to be working from Ubisoft. I'd be looking for other employment real quick. Ubi's in that dangerous stage where the suits are mad. When the suits start having concerns, you start wondering. What'd you miss? Oh, we just talked a little bit about the 3.2, 4.2. What we saw, just so you don't know, for those of you who are completely out of the loop, because sometimes I do have people come in who you rely on me on for like up-to-date news, which I thank you for that. Those of you who use me as your up-to-date news source, I don't know how you do it. Like, there are so many other news out there. I just, like, my own personal feed has nothing to do with Star Citizen was getting flooded with Star Citizen leaks news from people I've never heard of. I was like, damn, CIG is fucking up. Also, like, you know, this is big news if my personal feed, which has almost nothing to do with Star Citizen, is getting up there. But when I say CIG is fucking up, I mean these people had like 10,000 subscribers, like at most, and they were averaging like my average in terms of views, which was like, that's solid. These are some pretty good content creators if they constantly do Star Citizen stuff, and I've never heard of them. And I know that the CIG probably hasn't either, even though they're literally being recommended on my feed. That is a huge, just side note, it is a huge pet peeve of mine that CIG so heavily focuses on Twitch and barely scratches the surface with YouTube. And they typically focus on YouTube and even on Twitch and YouTube, they typically focus on much bigger content creators, which is a mistake. For any of you who are hopeful game devs, your bread and butter is not going to get a big name to play your game. Your bread and butter is to get somebody like smaller than me, but a little bit smaller than me, to play your games and promote them to a community that would like your game. Those are the content creators that will help you build a community and help you promote and give you more of a leverage. One big person is good, but you can't make a community of content creators who will actively support your game out of one big person, because that person can leave. And that has always been my pet peeve with CIG, is that they are not good at content creation management, because they don't really know what they're doing with that. They're excited about it and they're enthusiastic about it, but they're still very old school. So I just try to avoid rumors and leaks, and you are pretty good at keeping the official stuff. So general rule of thumb, and this is something we should probably encourage more as a community, is sources. There's nothing wrong with talking about leaks if there's a source that is reliable, and the engine itself being data mined is a reliable source. So that's not the issue. The issue I have is, A, I signed a legal document that says I shouldn't be leaking things, but I can talk about it if I play it. But a lot of this stuff isn't in the game, it's just in the build. Hey, Major, how you doing? Good morning to you too. Super early for you. I try to avoid rumors and leaks. So 3.23, 3.23, 3.24. 3.24.2 was released in Evocati. Okay. I was about to get to it, and then chat's like, no, more dancing.
You can even take away my space lasers. But you can never, ever take away my space game.
Wish to Square just resubscribed for 8 months. Khans are fine, I saw things in those leaks. I want to believe.
Hey, Risto. Thank you for that Twitch Prime sub. You're very important, Papa. Very impressive, Mr. Any pedestrian. You rock. Shots and cheers in chat, y'all. Shots and cheers. So, what I do know from it, I'll talk about what I've seen and what was in the build in terms of like players playing. There's a lot of stuff in there. Well, I will also caveat this. This is a major caveat. Just because it's in the Evocati doesn't mean it's gonna make it in 3.24.2. There are plenty of things that start in Evocati builds which never see the light of day. I remember the leaks people telling me that there was a leak in a build that had a jump point gate that led from Hurston to Microtech. Like an intersystem gate. And they're like, it's set up to be in game and all these sorts of things. And I'm like, that's literally not how the lore works, unless they're changing the lore. And they're like, no, this is in game, it's gonna happen. And that was like 2 years ago, and we've never seen anything like that. They haven't even mentioned something like that. So shit gets left in there that has nothing to do with it. And then also, there are two things you got to understand about any sort of leaks when it comes to these sorts of data mines. Number one, Odin. How many of you remember Odin? Major caveat. At least he's not a colonel caveat. Was that 6 months ago? I thought that was like a couple of years ago. Not Squadron 42 Odin. I think it was Odin. That was the name of Perseus. The first original name of Perseus was Odin. And it was probably an internal document thing, but they ran with it. Leaks found that out and they fucking ran with it. They called it the Odin, the Odin, the Odin, the Odin. It's a gunship, it's the Odin. And eventually came out as the Perseus. So it may have gotten name change and maybe in the files it was Odin. But it was clear that CIG didn't really, or like the leaks didn't really have an idea. The problem with leaks is that leaks will give you everything regardless of context. And unfortunately, if you give everything regardless of context and you do not understand the context of what you're looking at, generally speaking, you're going to make wild assumptions about shit, which doesn't work. The context of where that bill, where these code is, where they find these sorts of things can tell us a lot about, is this preparing to go live? Is this just something that was left in as an oopsie? That kind of stuff. And then of course, the Raptor. The Raptor, and I forgot the name of the other one, the code name for the overdrive missions. Both of those were intentionally done to fuck with leaks. And CIG said it before, we poisoned the well, we will fuck with you. So there's one of those things that is in the build that was leaked that I'm going to tell you right now. I really hope it's real, but it's probably not. If you've heard of the Misk fortune that was in the leaks, I don't trust it. That is a pun. I would love to see CIG do a pun, but come on. Come on. Come on. That is true. They did leak a miswing, so it could be true, but I'm not trusting that. What is the Misk Fortune supposed to be? We don't know. All it is it's in the files labeled Misk Fortune as a ship. It's like Misk slash, it's like the way that the file root is like Misk slash fortune dot, stuff like that. I don't think the A90 got in the top 10, top 4. I think it may have. Yeah, sound it out. Misfortune. I get it. Yeah. So I don't think that's real. It might be, but it also might be a red herring to throw you off of what they're actually doing. Hello, Mister. Hello, Miss, Sir. Hello, Arch. Fortuna paints. There's Stella Fortuna that exists, but yeah. Might as well make a data runner called Misk Information. Yes. So that's the important thing to keep in context, is that just because it's in the files doesn't mean it's real. It makes we have more of a source for it, so we know where it's from, but do not take everything in this as at face value only, that it's in the files and that's it. Do not read into it any more than it is. I saw that, I said that earlier. If the Zeus Mark II CL is available in the upgrade ship part on the pledge store, it probably will be. It's going to be released with 3.24.2, so the files are in the computer. That is true, but that is all we have. It doesn't mean those files are real. It doesn't mean that they're not just junk that's put in there to fuck with people, you know. You're rocking Helldivers 4.0. I heard it's pretty good. I've been playing a lot of Space Marine, and I'm gonna be working on my BattleTech / Mech Warrior primer for Mech Warrior 5 mercs. I'm also realizing, because currently the latest lore video is actually doing really well. It's doing the slow start and then take off thing. I think I might try to get another Star Citizen video, long Star Citizen video out after the well, I definitely want to do one for Pyro, a primer for Pyro, and I want to do a primer for Squadron 42. So yeah, the Gladius video is out. That's good. I thought it did well. I think a lot of people enjoyed it. Helldivers is on sale. Hey, not that bad. Helldivers is a good game for being on sale. Nice, not gonna lie, I'm in the UK, so hopefully it's not over 100 pounds, and it looked like the Zeus Mark II CL, similar price to the Max or C1 from Upgrade. Yeah, I think it's only like 120, 130. It's in that ballpark. I beat Satisfactory. That was a slog. Okay. Hey, Shapasta. Very disappointed that I don't make CitizenCon. Honestly, I think Squadron 42 demo rumors could be true. I started those rumors. It was me. I did that. I have to start taking credit for this shit and not just assume that people will give you credit, because, you know, people will steal your credit and don't even run back to you. If anyone claims that it was started by them, they're lying. Hey, Maverick. Yes, exactly. You can blame me if it doesn't happen. I'm wrong all the time. I only can make guesses based off of the best information at the time. I can't tell you how many times I've said this is the year for Theaters of War. I've done it twice, actually. Last 2 years I've said that, and I've been wrong both times, mostly. I did say in the last year, I said this is the year for Theaters of War, with the context that the Arena Commander team, which had just been formed, is going to do some gnarly shit. And everyone's like, yeah, not really. And then they did some gnarly shit, and I was like, read the monthly reports. Please. Please, you would have known this if you read the monthly reports. What was the other one? Oh, this year I said that because the Arena Commander team seemed to be kind of firing on all cylinders, and then right after I made that comment, DJ was like, by the way, we're being folded into the rest of the team, so we're going to do minimal Arena Commander support this year. It's like, rock. No, I started the rumor. To your credit, it was really obvious they were gearing up to take the stab at Theaters of War again before Rich rolled in. They even said they were. So, like, yeah. What was it? Fire Sprite. They took Fire. So Sony shut down Fire Sprite shortly after CIG was acquired the DJ Duncan and his team who were working on it. They were working Fire Sprite, then CIG hired them, and then like within a couple of months, Fire Sprite was just gutted for parts. It was like, damn, Sony. So yes, a couple of things that I want to make sure I'll look at that darkness one moment. One of the things that they showed in there, and this is something that is backed up by a lot of what CIG has been doing from monthly reports. which is I think what they're doing with 3.24.2 probably as a setup for 4.0. Well, first of all, 3.24.2 is obviously a 4.0 setup patch. It's a patch that's designed to soak up as much of the 4.0 features that don't require server meshing as possible. So they're trying to get as much as they can in this build so they can test it and release it before 4.0 so that it isn't the thing that holds up 4.0. So while they're working on the server meshing on the server meshing backend to make sure it's all good, and it's also clear that CIG has said multiple times that they are trying something new with 4.0. They're doing their best to make sure that 4.0 releases as solid as possible. I think that's a folly, but we'll see. FireSpy was the company CIG contracted to do with AC originally. Yes. And then Sony purchased them because they worked with Sony pretty closely. And when Sony purchased them, the team that was working on Arena Commander for FireSprite, that team was hired by CIG. It was only like 3 people, but one of them was DJ or Duncan, who was the lead of the AC team. I don't think so, Enarkaran. I think they're still going to do 4.0, but you are right. This is the last chance. So we'll know on Wednesday. Next Wednesday, we'll know if 4.0 is coming out this year or not. We'll know for sure because CIG will make that call by then. They're not going to make the call after CitizenCon. They're going to make the call before CitizenCon because they can't push it back any further. They really will not have a lot of time left at the end in terms of just like gathering data and stuff like that. What sounds like propaganda, Jar Jar? Is there any lore on the outposts, like the destroyed Reclaimer outpost? Did the Reclaimer have any lore, ship name, etc. before it's crashed? Ghost Hollow? I think it's called Ghost Hollow is the name of the ship. I don't know if we have a lot of lore for that. No. No, we have plenty of time to do full cycle 4.0 after 3.24.2 because that 2.4.2 is the CitizenCon patch. So that's going to be out within the next couple of weeks because it's going to be out for CitizenCon because it's going to have all of the ships that they're going to release at CitizenCon, all the paints and all of the stuff they're going to release for CitizenCon. And then because they actually have CitizenCon stuff in the 2.4 build, 2.4.2 build. And 4.0 this year sounds like propaganda. Releasing 4.0 this year. So here's the thing. 4.0, CIG is saying that they're still planning on having it released for Q4. And as much as people like to give shit for CIG, generally speaking, CIG has had only a handful of hey, Frosty Xenomorph, I didn't see you come in. CIG has only had a handful of slips since they built this new system. The new system that they've been using for like judging when a patch is going to come out or not, the one that Jake has helped build, that system has, I think, a total of 7. No, not even. It's like 4 total things have completely slipped off of its roadmap. Sometimes those things have slipped around a little bit, but usually when they slip around right before or right after the quarter swap over. A lot of stuff on the cards listed for 4.0 was in yesterday's build. Yes, that's what I was gonna kind of bring up was that 2.4.2 is the preview build. It's CIG putting as much as they can into this current patch to test for 4.0, so that they can offload a lot of that stressor. And let's be clear, CIG even if 3.24.2 releases at the ass crack of CitizenCon, like if it releases at CitizenCon in 3 weeks, which I don't think so, it'll probably be sooner than that, then you still have the rest of October, all of November, and most of December. That's still like 2.5 months to get it done. And so CIG, if they were going to do stupid shit, would come screaming in at the ass crack of December, drop it right before Christmas and leave. They definitely have that. And I know a lot of people are like, well, it takes them a long time. 40 days. Typically, it takes them between 30 and 40 days to go from Evocati to release. If you look at the numbers, if you look at their averages, it's 40 days. There's only one outlier, which was 318. Oh yeah, that was what I was going to talk about. The thing that I think, no, 3.24 and 3.323 were 40 days. 3.18 was longer, but 3.23 and 3.24 were shorter. Hey, Vashkor. You could argue that 3.23 was, yeah, and it was the first Evo build. Unless your stability builds. Were the stability builds built for very long? That's my question on that one. I don't think the stability builds were very long. I think they were only a couple of days. They didn't really enter Evocati until later. I had this listed somewhere. Let me pull it up real quick. All right, here we go. 3.23. The avocado date listed here is March 6th. So it was in a little bit more. It was 65 days for PTU. And 3.24 was a little longer. It was 64 days. So you're right, it's a little bit. But the average PTU duration is 42.12. Hey, Ladna. The first build that 3.24 had, its initial PTU was the May the 25th, and it came out in release date was August 28th. No, you're right. It is more than 40 days. You were correct. I was wrong. See, I'm not always right there, Anakaran. But I am right that the average PTU duration is about 40 days. The point being, CIG could easily release it in 40 days. And even then, let's just say it's 65 days. Online's waiting for the timeout. I don't think it's going to be on the long end. Here's the reason why I don't think it's going to be on the long end. Because if it's on the long end, they're going to burn a lot of... they're going to burn out people. They know they're going to burn out people. They've known this for a while. I don't see them dragging this out. Because we've also never had hot fixes the way that they've been deploying hot fixes recently. There's a lot of different factors which seem to be going in. On top of that, we've never really had CIG. Oh, it's happened a couple times, but typically CIG doesn't start pulling features from a patch before that patch is releasing and putting it in the previous patch. Because we're getting like multiple smaller features in. I don't think we're going to see 4.0 after New Year's. I think it's going to come this year still. We'll know more on Wednesday, though. I think that's the case too. I think that a lot of the server meshing tests that they've been doing seems to be more more in terms of them trying to dial in some of the issues before it reaches Evocati. Because for those of you who don't know Evocati, I've had this a couple times where people who aren't in Evocati who played the build and they said, this is rough even for Evocati. And it's like, no, it's actually pretty stable for Evocati. For those of you who don't know Evo is effectively, a lot of times Evo is, can you log on to the game? Can you log in? Successful test. Evocati is off and on a lot. Does it work? Yes or no? And so the fact that they're already, in a more stable position, even for server meshing, because it's like, oh yeah, well, it plays like current live, which is bad. It's like, it plays like current live, which is probably about right. We do have some statuses, Ren. We do know a lot about actually the statuses because they've mentioned them in monthly reports before. A lot of the statuses are, at least according to CIG's monthly reports, are done or almost done. Hey, Tristan. Do you still believe that that 4.0 would be in CitizenCon, at least in Evo build? Possibly. I think CIG is going to have problems if they come into CitizenCon without 4.0 in some shape for players to play outside of CitizenCon. Because the reality is why have CitizenCon? Why do all this pomp and circumstance when all of that is going to implode in your face? Thank you, Sunshark. That's true, Ren. But I'll read you exactly what they said in the monthly report. And remember, CIG doesn't say shit if it's broken. Ongoing mission system refactor progressed with the team fixing various issues causing existing behaviors to break or function incorrectly. The mission system can now run in minimal mode, allowing it to be included in the seeding service and upcoming mission factory service, which generate contracts. Implementing the service beacons for the mission system refactor began, while core gameplay supported mission design and remaining blockade runner and cargo hauling issues. Clients can now query available missions, and contract generator can apply legacy settings to work with a previous system too. That's what they said. Here it is, right there. Hey, Smith. Work still treating you okay? Hell no.
You can take away my
Work is in the hell month right now.
You can take away my space suit.
Suit.
You can even take away my space lasers.
No pew-pews.
But you can never,
ever
take away my space game.
Major Star Stuff just resubscribed for 3 months. Got a dash, night y'all.
Thank you so much for
Catch
that.
you on Saturday, Paul.
Yes.
07.
Good to have you on there, Major. So thank you for coming on. Thank you for 3 months for support. You're very important, Papa. Very impressed, Mr. Venom pedestrian. This is your fault. The reason I'm drinking tonight. Shots and cheers in chat, y'all. Shots and cheers. So Major Star Stuff's going to come on with Griffin Gaming RPG and maybe some other people. We'll see. But basically, we're going to be talking about the crying, as Griff put it, crying and buying, which is, you know, we've had a lot of drama in September, yet we've also had the most successful September they've ever had. Even better than last year, which had the F8C release. All these years still do that? Hell yeah. But yeah, my point is like, CIG's talking about it, and from what I can tell, this is that it's the mission system can now run in minimal mode, allowing it to be included in the seeding service for the upcoming mission factory service, which generate contracts. That sounds like they're progressing pretty far along. There's some pretty detailed stuff there. And this was in August, so this was a month ago that this was done. And wasn't F8C early October last year? I thought it was September. They also mentioned the mission refactor and other refactors meant for server meshing in Benoit's post. Yes, Benoit, we're going to look at that here as well. We're going to look at some of what Benoit's saying. But yeah, they've also said that the mission in these test missions will not be available as the mission system is currently being refactored to be server meshing compatible in 4.0. Yes, basically all that the server meshing tests they've been doing is just 3.24.2 or 3.24.1. but with server meshing attached, and that's it. I cried so hard I actually bought 5. Yeah. Yes. Like different versions of the tractor beam for the Atlas? That'd be interesting. So, I think the other thing to keep in mind about this is that a lot of the stuff that was in the data files, including like NPC audio, seems to be pointing towards something that CIG has been working on a lot and been talking about a lot, which is social AI. Social AI is a big factor that they've been trying to push for Squadron, and they've been talking about wrapping it up and then moving that over to Star Citizen. The idea that the AI will react differently depending on the situation, giving the social AI more vibrance, giving them more different personalities, so that if something happens, you'll have some that will run in terror, some of them that will fight, some of them will stand still, different voice lines. So there's definitely more life they're bringing to the AI that was in those files, and that seems like a 4.0 sort of thing. In regards to server meshing, the trams still need work. That's what they said recently on the Star Citizen Live hangars and habs. Yep. It's part of the transport system refactor that they're working on. Look through some of the stuff. Later, Vashkor. Thanks for hanging out. effectively, the thing to keep in mind when it comes to 4.0 is until CIG says it's not going to be coming in Q4, assume it's coming in Q4. But don't think it's going to be perfect in Q4. Assuming that CIG is going to take 700 years to get it out is not helpful. It doesn't help you, it doesn't help the community, it doesn't help anybody. If you're gonna be in the situation where it's just like, fuck it, I don't give a shit about Star Citizen until 4.0 comes out, I'll see you when 4.0 comes out, sort of situation. But it's not helpful in general for people running around being like, the game is not coming out, because I've already seen misinformation spread by people where they'll say something like, oh yeah, it's gonna be delayed. Like, you know, even a kind of a minor creator saying something, it's just not coming out until, you know, next year. And then it already being filtered out into non-community members who are like, oh yeah, isn't that game already fucked because it's coming out way too later? Frost, thanks for hanging out. Do you think they're going to have any proper relationship standing added for 4.0? Yeah, they've talked about that with Pyro, but it's going to only be a handful of factions. So they've said it was going to be the Citizens for Prosperity and the Headhunters. And then the bad guys who will always be bad will be Xenothreat. And then there'll be some reputation issue, or some reputation, a kind of always neutral faction, which is the Rough and Ready. Now, like, you shoot up this outpost, so now they shoot you up when they show up. Yeah, that's what I just talked about. They talked about it in an ISC. They will do it, but it's only for a handful of factions. They even said that they added that system into the game with 3.23, but because there's really no reason to have it on in 3.23, they don't have it on. Did they ever mention when Squad 42 is coming out? No. I mean, they did. They said 2016, back in like 2014, 2015. But as of today, CIG has also said that they weren't going to have an Evocati build or a server meshing test today. But tomorrow, if you're watching this after the fact, probably today, they're shooting to have an Evocati release for 3.24.2. So, sorry, Party Smurf.
You can take away my spaceship. You can take away my space suit. You can even take away my space lasers.
No pew pew.
But you can never, ever take away my space game.
Shisley has subscribed.
Hey, Mickey. Why 10 ads? I couldn't tell you. Thank you, Shisley, for that Twitch Prime sub. You're a very important part. Twitch sub, actually. You're a very important part. We're very impressive. We're very new pedestrian. This your father. You're drinking night. Trust and cheers and chat, y'all. Trust and cheers.
Drinks all around. Let's party like it's your birthday. Party like it's your birthday. Come on, put your lips together. Blow the candle out. Party like it's your birthday. Party like it's your birthday. I wanna make you feel real special. Put your name in lights. We are gonna party like it's your birthday. Gonna party like it's your birthday. Gonna party like it's your birthday. Blow the candle out.
Party Smurf just got a sub from Shempaster.
Thank you, Shem, for gifting
Shempaster
the BF.
gifted a tier 1 sub to Party Smurf.
You're both very important puppers,
They
very
have
impressive
given
pissers.
199 gift subs in the channel.
Jesus, 199. You're both very important puppers. You're you rock. Shots and cheers in chat, y'all. Shots and cheers. Oh. How you doing, Mickey? How's the transition? I gotta ask this question because I know a couple people who work at out of the Austin office, Mickey. Have you been to the office yet? And do you have a desk? Hey, Lefty. That's good to hear.
O_Lefty just gifted 5 subs.
Thank you so much for gifting those 5 subs there, Lefty. You're very important pub, very impressive for any pedestrian. You rock. Shots and cheers and chat, y'all. Shots and cheers. I forgot. Yeah, if you give 5 subs, you actually give an additional. They give an additional sub out. So.
Let's party like it's your birthday. Party like it's your birthday. Come on and put your lips together. Blow the candle out. Party like it's your birthday. Party like it's your birthday. I wanna make you feel real special. Put your name in lights. We are gonna party like it's your birthday. Gonna party like it's your birthday. Gonna party like it's your birthday. Blow the candle out.
Citizen_Dex just got a sub from Twitch. Twitch gifted a tier 1 sub to Citizen_Dex.
Enjoy that there, Citizen Dex. You got yourself. Twitch is giving you a freebie. I work there every week. Everyone's been great. That's good to hear there, Mickey. I know I've known a lot of folks because a lot of the people who work in the Austin office were once fans that I knew when, like, because they were fans around the same time I started joining the community, and they hung out in Twitch streams and stuff like that, and then they ended up working for CIG. So it's like, why do I know so many CIG employees suddenly? The last I heard that, for those of you who don't know, the Austin office has grown significantly since it was first purchased back in like 2014, 2015. And it is rapidly outpaced its size. So the first time I went to the Austin office, it was a tiny corner, like portion of this second floor. And now it's like the entire second floor of a building.
You can even take away my space lasers. But you can never, ever take away my space game.
We're getting a hype train up here. Okay.
The Chrome Ninja just resubscribed for 2 months.
Thank you so much, crew, for that Twitch Prime sub for 2 months. You're a very important pupper, very impressive pisser, very pedestrian. Yeah, it's a bee cave.
Party like it's your birthday. Come on and put your lips together. Blow the candle out. Party like it's your birthday. Party like it's your birthday. I wanna make you feel real special. Put your name in lights. We are gonna party like it's your birthday. Gonna party like it's your birthday. Gonna party like it's your birthday. Blow the candle out.
Mickey_Sig just got a sub from O_Lefty. O_Lefty gifted a tier 1 sub to Mickey_Sig.
I gotta do this.
They have given 6 gift subs in the channel.
I think I have to go in here and do that. 1 second. Thank you for giving that sub. Maybe it's under users.
Them biddies.
Thank you for them biddies. All right, there you go. Mickey got a VIP badge. There you go. Yeah, their Austin's is way out in Bee Cave. They definitely need, I think they need to figure something out.
Graph_Rizzo just got a sub from the First Tasty.
Thank
the
you
First
so much.
Tasty gifted a tier 1 sub to Graph_Rizzo.
Thank you for gifting that tier 1 sub there. First Tasty, you're both very important pubbers, very impressive, very pedestrians. Y'all rock. Shots and cheers and chat. Shots and cheers. Just at the end. All right, I'll be right back, chat. I'll be right back. Don't go anywhere. But why is CIG so fixated on cave types? Because they're easy to do and they add more variety to the universe. CIG is adding, they already added creatures. They're going to add more creatures in the future. And so caves are going to become more and more like mission options. Kind of variety.
Mission complete. Burrito I eat. There you go.
2 months. Distress break.
Fuck this shit, I'm out.
Weapons free, y'all.
Stand by for Titanfall.
Everyone.
Everybody and his dog calls himself an
Take away
outlaw.
my spaceship.
Stand by
Take
for
away my
Titanfall.
space suit.
I can fly.
You can even take away my space lasers. But you can never, ever
I'm just an
take away
old-fashioned
my
cowboy.
space game.
Yeah.
Very mediocre underscore just resubscribed for 3 months.
Thank you for that resubscription for 3 months. They're very mediocre, very important pubber, very impressive, very pedestrian. You rock. Shots and cheers and chat. Y'all shots and cheers.
Mission complete.
Yeah, I think the reason why caves are underutilized is because it's the same reason why a lot of features are underutilized. CIG just really hasn't sat down. Their mission team really hasn't sat down and started to like diversify mission locations and come up with off the wall shit. They seem to be on that. You're in Japan until early next year. Congratulations, Luna. Maybe until the holiday. It'd be weird seeing office hours stream on Friday mornings until then. I thought you were. Aren't you still pregnant, Luna? Are you having your child in Japan? Your 24 time is done. Still think Redeemer is the best ship. Oh. Gives would be fun. Yeah. The problem with caves is that they have the worst playing missions and they take the longest to fly to because no QT markers, to be honest. Yeah, I mean, things like quantum
Drinks
boost.
all around.
Let's party like it's your birthday. Party like it's your birthday. Come on, put your lips together. Blow the candlelight.
More dancing.
Party like it's your birthday. Party like it's your birthday. I wanna make you feel real special. Put your name in lights. We are gonna party like it's your birthday. Gonna party like it's your birthday. Gonna party like it's your birthday. Blow the candlelight.
AN9 just got a sub from Iris Dreadtide. Iris Dreadtide gifted a tier 1 sub to AUNLINE.
Sorry,
They
you were
have
saying.
given 88 gift subs in the channel.
Oh, thank you so much there, Iris, for giving that sub to online. You're both very important powers, very impressive. This is very pedestrians. You rock. Shots and cheers and chat. Oop, hit the wrong button. Yeah, so I think there's a lot of factors, and I think it's a good example. Like, yeah, it takes too long. They don't pay out very much. They're almost always broken. A lot of that is because CIG just doesn't seem to have the bandwidth to do a lot of that stuff. I think a lot of their
Drinks all
bandwidth is
around.
focusing on
Let's party
basic
like
stuff.
it's your birthday. Party like it's your birthday. Come on, put your lips together. Blow the candlelight. Party like it's your birthday. Party like
Drunken
it's your
space.
birthday. I wanna make you feel real special. Put your name in lights. We
TechB00N just got a sub from the First Tasty. The First Tasty gifted a tier 1 sub to TechB00N.
Daboom! Thank you so much for that, gifting that sub to Daboom there, to Stacey. You're both very important pubbers, very impressive sisters, very new pedestrians. Rock, you rock. Shots and cheers in chat, y'all. Shots and cheers. I legitimately want a Cutlass Purple because, again, I am a big advocate of touching the camera. No, I'm a big advocate of sandbox missions, as sandbox gameplay. Give us the tools to make our own fun, CIG. That's what I'm asking. How's school going so far? So for those of you who don't know, we're currently in one of the worst times of the year. I think it's probably the worst time of the year for school. Because once you get off that initial coming back to school, everyone's like, yay, I get to go back to my classes and get to meet my friends and talk to my teachers and figure out how things are going. Once you get past that, like the first 3 to 4 weeks, then you enter a stage where between the end of September and the end of October is just pain. Because everyone has gotten over the new stuff and there's still a lot of time left. So kids get bored. You have to keep them engaged. Teachers start getting all of the paperwork they have to do, all of the different things they have to do. And you start settling into the whole like, oh God. And then in the next, like for me, over the next couple of weeks, everything's going to kind of ease up. And then by the time we get to like Halloween, I'm golden. I'm done. I'm pretty much A-okay. Once I get beyond that, you've got Thanksgiving, and then after Thanksgiving, it's New Year, and then New Year has a little bit of that with February, but usually February is a lot different because I teach seniors. They're also mostly focused on graduating. So February, March is usually that sort of graduation, and then when you hit March, you've got spring break. Once you hit past March, once you get past spring break, it's basically over. You've got like a month of school left, and then it's all kind of stuff, so. By the way, have you heard the leaks? There are some voices that sound Misk Hope thingy. Misk Hopey thingy. What? Am I doing cosplay this stream for Halloween? Probably not. I'm probably going to stay in and hang out with my wife for Halloween. Because that's going to be a Thursday. I will probably stream all day on that Friday, though. In short, you hate the drudgery and the monotony. Yeah, it's more difficult than drudgery and monotony. It's dealing with the kids. Because you have to engage the kids, and the kids are so hard to engage at this point because I'm teaching government. Like, it's not exactly stimulating. And the people who are stimulated by it generally are not exactly interested in learning about demographics and how they factor into policy. So. Your wife is a teacher, so I get it. Yeah. What level does she teach? High school theater? Okay. Theater. Yeah. I teach high school social studies, so that's cool. The election noise doesn't help, I bet. Yeah. Omega, you are far too much of a history nerd. My kids don't care. My kids just want to pass the class. It also doesn't help that so a little side teacher talk, and then we'll get back into it. I am currently teaching the last generation to be fully in high school when to enter high school when COVID started. Because they're graduating this year, graduating 2025, which means they entered in the 2020, 2021 year. So they have suffered the most from COVID brain. I call it COVID brain, but it's where kids got into a habit during COVID of being able to do their work whenever they wanted to. So they're more driven to get their work done, but less interested in learning, because they view school as an action they have to do in order to continue to do their fun stuff. And because they were just allowed unfettered access to the internet and to games and to their phone for like years before they actually had to go back into schooling, they've gradually learned how to become human again, but they're still very much addicted to their phones. And because I have an advisory this year of all freshmen, and I was just like, oh, freshmen, I'm gonna fucking die. And no, they're actually fine. They're actually really good. They're really engaged. They still like, they have managed to find a way to take their school laptops and play Fortnite on them. Like, I'm not even mad. I'm impressed. I'm like, you guys use VPNs? And they're like, no. Like, what? My wife is also a teacher, U.S. history, government, sophomore and juniors. She says the COVID kids are the worst. It's just they just don't know how to act like humans. They just don't know how to act like humans because they were never like. I'm also part of we have these systems which are kind of like schools within schools. And the school within school that I'm a part of is surprisingly the technical, like the not STEM, but like computer science. You know, who knew this video game streamer would be part of the cohorts that literally teach digital art and design and game development. I've actually talked to people at CIG that I know, and I said I've been trying to get them to show up at my school to teach, to at least talk to my kids who are doing stuff for game development. And I've always get back like, oh, yeah, this is a neat idea, we'll do it. And they never follow through because, to be fair, the last guy who did game development just kind of never emailed the emails that I got. But yeah. The kids are all right, as it turns out. I've always said that the kids are all right. They also let social interaction at school. Yeah, lots of socialization. It's more than just socialization. It's socialization and like normalization. It's like when you don't hang out around people, you forget how to hang out around people, but you also forget the social norms and mores of having to be around people. Like, generally speaking, if someone is talking to you, it's rude to have your headphones in and stare at your phone when you know that you're supposed to be listening to them. Like, usually kids, I could get on, kids do that. It's just kids. But like, usually after a couple of prompts and maybe a couple of days, they can slowly ease them into just getting that into routine, and that becomes a routine. But it's so ingrained in them now that they just don't do it. Quit trying to get Tony Z to give a talk to your school, Astro. Man, I would be ecstatic if I could convince Tony Z to come talk to high school students. That's I don't know if Tony would be okay with talking to high school students. Going to be like, hey, this, because be introduced like, this is the guy who made Crusader No Remorse, and they'd be like, which game? What game? Crusader No what? Oh, a game that came out in like 98. Oh, I wasn't even born then. These aren't kids that are like high school students, though. These are kids who are high school students who want to go into 3D art, 3D animation, video game design, and game programming. They're like, and we're not talking like gamers. We're talking designers, developers. That's what they want to do with their life, and that's the program they're part of. So like, a lot of them go do things like Code to College and other things like that. They end up in a lot of studios in Austin. So Which phone was that for? Yeah. I think Elliot would start cursing them out within 5 seconds, but yeah. I think we would all want to see that talk. Maybe if you want to age 20 years. But anyways, the whole point is this year is particularly rough, but I have hope for the future. The kids are all right. I have little gremlins as my freshman advisory, and I'm like, 4 years from now, these kids are gonna be great. This is gonna be awesome. And I've also talked with several of my fellow teachers who are teaching the juniors, and I'm like, how are they? And they're like, they're great. They're much better than last year. And I was like, oh, okay, that's good. Because this year's awful. Yeah, not looking me in the eye is the thing that threw me off. Nephew had that issue after lockdown. Growing up without friends, even before COVID, had made it hard to socialize later in life, speaking from experience. Yeah. Yeah, that's... I'm hoping that they do better and they'll be fine, but yeah. I'm a week and a half from my 64th birthday, when I started professional driving career. Cell phone were just a luxury. Might as well have been a thing. Today I look back and say, how? Yeah. How did I do my job without them? We had payphones that were everywhere, Elsinore. You remember that. You would go down the street and trip over a fucking payphone. They were so fucking easy to get access to. And they were super cheap. Yeah, they were a little pricey sometimes, but... So my partner just suggested that you make the kids write short essays about the most memorable parts of the Clinton years and laugh at the innuendos or uncomfortable references. Payphone was free if you knew how, yeah. When I was growing up in the 90s, I know I'm younger than all of you, and I'm almost 40. When I was growing up in the 90s, my parents were big fancy schmancy because they had a car phone. That's how I knew I was rich growing up. And then my parents lost it all, and I was no longer rich. Payphones are now free in Australia, if you can find them. You had the brick that you picked it up. It was actually, it had like a receiver and everything, and it had the cord. I remember it because when I was a kid, this is the embarrassing Paul story. I was very little. I was like 7, kind of thing, or maybe 6. My parents taught me how to dial 911 if there's an emergency. And the thing was that the car phone was a digital phone, so you could hit 911, and as long as you didn't hit send, it never called. So my parents would say, if you're in trouble, what do you do? And I'd pull up the phone, go 911, and they'd be like, good job. So I decided that I was bored one day, and I was going to do that at home on the home phone. Because I never hit send before, so it never went. So I figured if I didn't hit send, if I just hung up the phone, I'd be fine. Didn't realize, because I was a dumb kid, that call goes through no matter what. And so a couple of minutes later, the police show up at my front door, and they're like, what's going on? And I tell them what's going on, and the cop, who's a very nice guy, was just like, don't do that. And I was like, I'm sorry. They're like, that's fine, But yes, let's get back to Star Citizen. 3.24.2. It's going to come out in Evocati soon. Probably see it. A pretty short Evocati, I would imagine, just because unless there's something big that's being added to it, there's just not a lot of content that's required. But we'll know more about the content that's in it with the roadmap roundup on Wednesday. And yeah, there has been a lot of leaks. A lot of the stuff in those leaks are neat. But I think the biggest thing that I can say is that a lot of those leaks had leftover stuff from 4.0, and I would not put it past the IG to leave them in. All of the like the power resources, the new power management screen, the life support stuff, all of that stuff is added in there, which is I think is just cool, pre-set up for engineering. Could you buy the Atlas suit inside? Oh, you're talking about the you're talking about the Titan suit. If it makes you feel any better, I'm a small part of your demographic that's nearly half your age. Thank you, name. It makes me feel kind of weird that I know there are multiple people in this community who are at the age of, I taught you when you were in high school. Not like I taught them personally, but like I was a young teacher when you were in high school. If you're between the age of, if you are, yeah, between the ages of, I think like 18 and 28. I've been teaching for 14 years, I want to say. And the current school I've been there. This is my 9th year there. And before that, I taught for 2 years in another school and then 1 year in another school before that in different states. So that was, so yeah, so the 12 years. This is my 12th year teaching. So yeah. I'm also half your age. That's not good. That's just the weird part. Alkina, pretty cool. It says pretty cool history of the Gladius and its predecessors you posted on YouTube. I'm glad you enjoyed it. That seems like it's been doing well. And check the, it says 5,500 views right now, but I know it's probably more than that because that's just the non. 5,500 or 5,600. It's also the 4th best video I've done on the channel, just behind the complete history of Anvil Aerospace, which is about 1,000 views ahead of it at the same time. Not bad though. Humanities, yes. So let's take a look at the, because I think it's, I don't think I'm breaking anything by looking into the, No, I don't think it's there. The patch notes. I don't think they had the patch notes. Oh, all right. The one leak that I have to mention because it is just absolutely amazing, and please, dear God, give me more of it. Is that the Titan suit was in the there's just generic Titan suit was referenced in the files, and the generic Titan suit had a slot for a melee weapon. Wow. Yes. It was 40 gigabytes. What's the next video on the schedule? A primer for the BattleTech universe, MechWarrior BattleTech universe. I'm going to release that in 2 weeks because in next week was originally when it was supposed to release, and I was going to like have to rush it out, but then they pushed it back 2 more weeks. So now it's releasing on the 17th. So I'm going to release it not next week, but the week after next on the lead up to. It's coming out like the Thursday before CitizenCon. The Titan suit, I don't think the Zeus suit is going to be slow, to be fair. I think the Zeus suit, for those who know, the Zeus is the name of the Titan suit. That's the combat suit that's built by Virgil Ltd. For the UAE military, UAE Marines, actually. And yeah, I think it's going to be pretty fast. I don't anticipate that being a slow thing. I actually think it's going to be faster than players, but I also think it's going to have major downsides. Melee weapon, does that mean swords? Okay, to give you context, CIG has been actively working on swords and other melee weapons for NPCs and NPC melee melee NPC types for like 2 years now. It's in the game files, or not in the game files. It's been in the monthly reports. They've been talking about them all the time. Titan suit may be used by bosses at Pyro, so they're not just bullet sponges. 100%. I can definitely CIG. I can definitely CIG taking the Atlas and then turning it into a bullet sponge boss. Thank you so much for that raid, Fairasalt. Welcome everyone from Fairasalt Stream. My name is Paul Berserker01, Batman Shelley, your humble host and space bartender here at the AstroPub, your space bar at the end of Twitch. Sit back, relax, enjoy the show. We got a good one for you. How you doing? He killed me, Mal. He killed me with a sword. Vanduuls in the trailers have big scary sticks. They do, but like we're talking human NPCs with melee weapons. They took a lot of the Vanduul behaviors and used those as the initial models for humans using melee weapons in game, and like swords, kind of thing. How weird is that? Yeah. I don't think they're going to be powered power armored suits like you're just bouncing around with jets or anything like that. I think the Zeus is probably going to be as fast as human walking, but it'd also be carrying much deadlier like weapons. So. By the way, what kind of human melee weapons are part of the UEE rosters? Swords, but those are mostly ceremonial. I'm a big proponent. At least it makes sense in lore for me. To be it's in lore, would to be to have axes. I'd imagine that the Marines would carry axes of some kind for boarding actions because. for the raid. Welcome everyone to CL3. My name is Paul Berserker01, Batman Shelley, your humble host and space bartender here at the AstroPub. Your space bar at the end of the universe. Sit back, relax, enjoy the show. We got a good one for you. We're talking about melee weapons in Star Citizen. Tactical tomahawks. Well, I think axes make sense because you can use them for boarding actions to get through locations. They're pretty standard like equipment for things like firefighters and such for that same reason, for if you need to get access to things. And they're pretty versatile. Like you can't really chop wood or chop things with a sword, but an axe is a little bit different. It's got a nice way to top to it. You can do things like leverage. And I think a boarding axe would make sense because there are such things as like ballistic shields. So in a tight corridor, when you're getting into a spaceship, which are made of corridors, you can close the distance between you and an enemy faster than they can pull out their other weapons and shoot you if they're not ready. I forgot the name of it. There's a technical term for it, which is like melee is effective at very close ranges, but those very close ranges are still pretty close, like less than 50 yards, and you can easily get just shanked to death by a good attacker. 21-foot rule. Thank you. So, like melee weapons, it's the reason why melee weapons still exist in the world today. I don't think that there's any spaceship outside of the large capital ships that have corridors that are less than 21 feet, or that are longer than 21 feet. So, melee would definitely make sense in a universe where you shoot the hull, it could light on fire. Because you're not just shooting bullets, you're shooting freaking laser beams, man, and lightning. Like, that sounds like it would probably do some damage to the interior of a ship, which is vacuum sealed. And if you're trying to not gas, lose all the atmosphere or light the atmosphere on fire, then using an axe might be a good idea. And that corridor has pipes and hoses behind it. Yeah, exactly. Yes, we definitely need not less than lethal as well. And just like ships today, fire equals bad, indeed. So, again, it makes sense that Marines might be used to close combat and also have something like a breaching, like a ballistic shield and an axe to be able to close the distance to prevent yourself from getting hit, and then just pounding on a motherfucker until they stop moving. Yeah, and you don't need to reload a melee weapon. No bayonets? As far as I know, we don't have bayonets. I think that would be a cool functionality to have if CIG were to like give us bayonets to attach to the end of weapons. So instead of meleeing, when you hit the melee button with a weapon, instead of doing, you just go stab. But all that technology, and we're having to go back to tried and true medieval tactics. Just because we have technology doesn't mean we're immune to the laws of physics. I think what we'll see for sure is in the future, we're going to see probably less rifles and more SMGs and shotguns used from players boarding ships, and also melee weapons becoming more constant, because it's just the amount of damage you can do by axe from misfire for weapons can be pretty big. We didn't have axes, we had entrenching tools. Turns out, even in the year 2954, getting stabbed is still bad for your health. Yeah. Man, I need to reload a melee weapon, but you need to wipe the blood off of things. It gets messy in hand-to-hand to keep a grip. Yeah. Bayoneted beams. Beam bayonets. There are lights above the ASOP terminals at Lorville, waiting on a long claim time and decide to count them 42 loops. If that's true, that's insane. Paul, if we get bullet sponge postures in the next patch or 3, do you think that we'll be able to loot and keep the giant melee weapons or the suit early on, or will looting come later on? I think I wouldn't be surprised if you're able to keep the suit if you're able to disable the suit rather than destroy them, but I don't think you'll be able to disable the suit. Because I don't think they have, I mean, they have damage states and explosion states, but I don't think you'll be able to, like, kill the occupant without destroying the suit. Warhammer weapons, yes. Well, Vandu do love their knives. Why can't we, why we can't? Exactly. I expect 4.0 for this summer, earliest. I hope I'm wrong and it comes out this year. As far as we know, CIG has said 4.0 is still coming out this year. That may change in the next week or so, but if CIG doesn't push it back next week, I don't see them pushing it back further. Also, here's the thing. I don't see CIG doing a long testing cycle with 4.0 because it's clear 2 things have come to light. Number 1, burnout is a thing. CIG experiences very big burnout for long PTU patches, so if they want to get something tested, putting in PTU isn't helpful. 2, CIG has been experimenting with hotfixes, and hotfixes seems to be a solution that they can drop something less than perfect and fix it fairly quickly if they know they're going to reach that stage. 3, CIG seems to be dead set on getting this damn thing out the door before the end of the year, obviously for not just for marketing purposes, but probably just so that they can move on themselves. And 4, there's a lot of shit in 3.24.2, which is 4.0. Pretty much the only things that we've seen that are in the files that were not that are in the files that are in 4.0, but not in like 3.24.2 is server meshing, pyro, and even then there's some pyro leftover files, and engineering, but there's like engineering setups in there. So does that mean it's going to happen? Anything can happen. I could be announced King of England tomorrow. Who knows? But based off of the current trajectory that CIG is talking about and where CIG is, they're not in that we're going to push it out to live, or we're going to push it out to PTU at the ass crack of the end of the year, maybe, and then release it in 6 months after that. That's not the trajectory they're on. That seems like they would halt a lot of other progress as a result. It still depends on server meshing. They've already done server meshing tests and they know it works. I think what they're trying to do now is just dial in the server meshing, because statements by CIG themselves have said that they're trying to dial in the meshing right now as a means to It's weird. There you go. Going through here real quick. All right. Missions are part of server mesh. That's another thing, the mission refactor. Yes, which has already been mentioned last month in the monthly report as being in a state that's complete or close to being complete. Hey, how's it going, Midnight Wolf? If you become a team tomorrow, will you still stream Star Citizen? I'll think about it. I doubt we'll get 1,000 person per shard too, but I think CIG is trying to figure out a way of making that happen. To say they got 10 times the number of players in the game than they have currently? Yeah. All right. So speaking of server meshing, let's take a look at this, because I think there's a lot of misinformation, a lot of misunderstanding of how server meshing functions. So this is what this is Benoit. We'll read the whole thing, and then we'll kind of talk about what was said. Hi, everyone. I hope you're having a great week so far. I wanted to take a moment to give a brief update on server meshing and share a bit of recapitulation, post-action report for the recent playtests, and glimpse into our intents for the next phases. A quick I don't know what is he saying? Recapitulation? Like, huh? Back in March of 24, following server mesh test A, we confirmed a critical design flaw with the network messaging queue, NMQ, used by the game's servers and hybrids. The NMQ is responsible for transmitting data over UDP sockets for both reliable and unreliable, eventually consistent, traffic, as well as ensuring the security of this data transmission. All game data, including serialized variables, entity properties, and route method calls, pass through this message queue. The identified flaw causes issues when processing large amounts of binds and messages, leading to performance problems, causing large bottlenecks in the queue. This usage of memory bandwidth was also problematic. To address this, the team focused on development mode to create a replacement, the replication message queue, or RMQ. The RMQ is designed to significantly improve bandwidth efficiency and maintain security for game server clients and replicants. Most importantly, it aims to prevent major networking bottlenecks that players would typically experience as prolonged interaction delays affecting multiple users simultaneously. As previously shared, we introduced the first version of RMQ in early 3.24 releases as Canary in the selected shards. It's now fully deployed across all 3.24.1 shards. We're closely monitoring RMQ performance in relation to shard age. We also observed in 3.23.1 that as shards aged, the number of binds and messages increased significantly. Encouragingly, since implementing the RMQ, we've observed clear improvements in our metrics and performance captures. We're optimistic in that these positive trends will persist as shards age, though we'll continue to monitor the situation closely. To my best translation of this is that we've all noticed this, is that the longer that servers are up, the more they fuck up. And the longer a patch is released, the more it becomes unplayable and buggy and problematic. And it seems like at least some of that has to do with this NMQ problem. So they've created RMQ as a solution to reduce that problem. And it so far seems like it's been doing pretty well. And in my experience, yeah, generally I don't have many of those bugs and issues that I've had in the past with 3.24.1 in the sense that it's just not there quite yet. But it could still happen. There's not enough locations, and the locations they do have aren't made to support something like 1,000 players in a shard. Yes, for sure. But I think the real reason why CIG wants 1,000 players isn't because they want 1,000 players in one location. They want 1,000 players across 4 servers, with 2 servers being in Pyro and 2 servers being in Stanton, because that spread would still be something like 350 players per shard on average. And that would reduce the amount of the amount of server load, because they're basically increasing the server cap to 350 people on average, with the possibility of getting into 1,000 people in the location, but it's unlikely that they will. Yeah, Pyro is going to solve a lot because there'll be a lot of spread out. And then if they go to one location, CIG can easily spin up a event server that is designed to only handle that location. Because I think the real reason why they're focusing on 1,000 players is, well, it's twofold. There's 2 real reasons. Number one, marketing is great. That writes itself. 10 times the number of players in 1 year. 1,000 people can be in one place at one time. Oh, sure, but like Stanton as a whole couldn't really support 500 players. Even in live right now, you go to MT and a lot of people are using FPS stuff. Well, also in theory, if CIG is doing server meshing, they can increase the volume of those missions because the reason why there's so few, I think partially has to do with server performance. So they can increase the sheer volume of missions to get more players to do things in general when you have less, when each server is dealing with less total entities than it does now. What was I talking about before? Doesn't matter that much. The point being, the other reason is server cost. It's probably incredibly expensive to run CIG servers as they are right now, even if they get a deal with Amazon, and they probably need to find a way of reducing that cost. And if there's a way of increasing the player volume per server in general, they can reduce that cost dramatically and increase player tension, cause players to collide with each other to create interesting gameplay. It's one of those things that's kind of a weird, it's sort of a balancing act. On one side, as CIG increases the number of players, they can also increase the number of things to do. But without having the ability to increase the number of players, they can't do the increase of things. So they have to kind of balance them together as they go up, as they work, so they can increase the volume and everything else like that. They've always said they don't want to stay with static meshing for long. Well, I've talked with, there's a couple of people who work at CIG who came into the chat and talked about who work on the stuff. And I was talking to them about it, and they're like, they basically said their plan, as far as they know, is fuck shards. They don't want shards. Long-term, shards are not the thing. Their goal is to be able to dynamically spin up and spin down things as they need to, so they don't have to worry about the shards. Their, of course, end goal is one global game, but to get to that point, they need to get dynamic up, and dynamic is the thing that'll allow them to be a little bit more loosey-goosey with things. All right, server meshing tests. With RMQ in place, along with other hybrid improvements, we've resumed server meshing tests using the current patch code at 3.24. Our test objectives are to identify areas needing optimization to achieve low latency replication at scale and with actual game and real players. Pinpoint game features that require adjustments for high player counts. Pinpoint game environments that need adjustments for high player counts. Uncover bugs related to server transmission, server recovery, and other quirks introduced by meshed setup. Confirm changes and improve the game experience at higher player counts from a networking point of view. We're aiming at rapid iteration cycle to test our corrections and optimizations, ensuring progress at each step without interference from other changes to the game. Our goal is to conduct weekly tests until it's time to rejoin the main development branch for Alpha 4.0 PTU waves. We will only proceed at a tech preview test in each week if we have sufficient changes and improvements validated for you to play. Our tests should mostly follow a given pattern. First, start with a single server setup to validate new problems. Expand mid-size configuration, aka 3 servers to 500 players. Expand to a larger server configuration, aka 6 servers to 1,000 players. That makes sense too, because those are about the same ratio, and I think that's actually better because it's 3 servers per system. Reel back and confirm a comfortable player cap and server amount based off of performance, and leave the test to open for a few hours more where players can experiment and we can capture data. In these tests, missions will not be available as mission system is currently being refactored to server meshing compatible in 4.0. Several game systems, like social, are also being adjusted with server meshing, but those changes are not in the technical preview builds, which we aim to isolate for any ongoing development bar and networking code. Testing of these systems will resume when 4.0 hits PTU with server meshing enabled. Meshing Test B Post-Action Report. Meshing Test B, conducted on September 12th, was the first test of RM2. The results were disappointing and unexpected, but the previous unidentified bottleneck identified in Test A was confirmed fixed. While interaction delay at scale had improved, allowing us to leave player testing a 350 setup, the problem remained. The next performance bottleneck was was identified. Zoning in and out times were problematic, with a lot of players stuck loading when rush of players occurred. Latency and interaction delays made the game unplayable at large player counts. Problem area would also affect game server connections, making the problems worse. Silver lining, the original problem from NMQ was confirmed fixed through metrics and captures. The test was shut down early. Meshing Test C, post-action report. Meshing Test C was conducted on September 19th and including performance optimizations. Test C was the first to use build with legacy NMQ systems snipped out. This was an important step as RMQ has been designed for greater parallelism, but with these optimizations could not be unlocked while we still needed to support NMQ. Test C included the first round of these planned optimizations and significantly improved our ability to scale before the interaction delay grows and the game becomes unplayable. This test also allowed us to see more gameplay-related issues as players spread out the game world and were able to experience the meshed universe. This test was a big step forward. We were able to successfully identify additional issues present, but walked away with the test feeling optimistic. Zoning in and out times were still problematic at higher player counts. Many players have XL hangars, but there aren't enough XL gateways when many players spawn in a short period of time. ATC queues at times were too high. Social systems are still tied to game server and not game shard, causing the channels to be empty for the players in other areas. Players count max looked capped at 100 even though the system is not limited. This work will happen 4.0 stream so as not to introduce large changes in tech preview. Higher player count and markers are still a usability visibility issue and have performance costs on the client. Bathrooms in the new Babbage were clogged, causing massive conga lines as players queued up to wait for their turn. Bathroom gameplay confirmed. A latency and interaction delays went up in the 1,000-player test where clear new performance optimization hotspots were found. This is the focus of work for the next test. Hybrid crash would cause 30K errors sporadically in the meshing setup. This was the focus of the work until the next test. So these are the two things that they want to fix. Onwards. While these early tests are promising steps forwards, we're aware the challenges remain. We're committed to tackling each hurdle through a rapid iteration, as always aiming to improve your gaming experience. For those of you who participate in these tests, your dedication is truly inspiring. Taking time out of your day to come to try out new features and tech, much respect. It's a pleasure to have a privilege of progressing in this technology together. Your insights and patience are invaluable as we transform our game to be the MMO we want it to be. We're excited about the path ahead, and we'll keep you updated on this journey. Thank you for being an integral part of this ambitious project with us. I want to say the ratio is 9-1. It's like 9-1 or 10-1. Yeah. They have always said they don't want to stay in static. Oh yeah, I saw that. So what can we get from that? Well, they're going to be doing more tests. So it's clear that they're going to have a while for testing. That could mean a couple more weeks. It could mean a month. We don't know. And it's important to note that it's likely that CIG will pause any tests in about 2 weeks because I can almost guarantee you that CIG will stop doing any sort of work that requires a lot of attention from developers who have to be at CitizenCon, including people like Benoit, a week before CitizenCon goes live, because they're going to have they have presentations they have to work on and practice and all those sorts of things. So we're still looking at. We're not going to have one this week. So the next earliest test is going to be the 4th, and then that'll probably be the last test we have between the 30th and the 4th. So someone's asked me, now that I've actually looked at the dates, and someone's asking if I think they were going to get 4.0 PTU before CitizenCon. No, not at this point. So I do think one of the things we're going to have to deal with at CitizenCon is CIG is going to walk into CitizenCon without 4.0 present. And they're not going to talk about 4.0 because 4.0 is something that they weren't planning on being in development while they were working on CitizenCon. So CitizenCon is going to be more about post 4.0 features, and that's going to be a problem. And for those who are asking, Paul, are you going? I was planning on going, and then this happened. That happened. And I had the money, and I even had everything set up, but I didn't have the time off of work. Because now I have to go and get this. I had to go get this fixed. I have to continue to get this fixed, so I don't have time off of work to go to England. And honestly, at this point, I'm kind of thinking this is a good thing, because it's going to be a very, very bloody sitcon. Now, as always, CitizenCon is all about the community interaction. If you're going to CitizenCon, go to hang out with other friends, with other Star Citizen fans. It's probably going to be a great time to be hanging out with people, learning a lot about stuff, being able to talk to developers if you haven't been able to talk to us before. But yeah. Bloody, what do you mean? So, the general public and the average backer is probably going to be a lot more severe to CIG.
You can take away my spaceship.
Because CIG,
Take away my space.
Chris went on stage and said, we're going to get all of these things to you within 12 months, hopefully.
But you can never.
And they'll be talking about stuff well beyond 4.0.
Space game.
Bear the Great just resubscribed for 6 months. Where's the sitcom party going to be in ATX?
I don't know. I won't be there. But thank you. Talk with the Bar Citizen folks. They probably know, but I'm not going to be able to do it because I'm going to be streaming it. So. Thank you for that 6 months of support. You're very important people. Very impressive person. Very pedestrian. This is your fault. Shots and cheers in chat, y'all. Shots and cheers. Bloody because they've been category who failed to hit the biggest target they set for themselves at the year CitizenCon content. So it'd all been planned if they didn't have. Yeah. If you were going to CitizenCon, you are already familiar how CIG works. Another delay is par for the course. Yeah, I mean, that's the CitizenCon is not about. Do not go to CitizenCon for special sneak peeks or anything like that. You're not getting it. If you're going there for special content, you're never going to get it. If you're going there to hang out with other fans of Star Citizen, then yeah, it'll be there. Do we theorize the misfortune yet? Yeah, it's probably a troll. Also, I think what Benoit also cleared something up. 3.24 didn't delay 4.0. 4.0 delayed 4.0. After going through and reading that whole thing, because that was posted a couple of days ago, so I didn't have a chance to like fully look down and reading it. What they're saying was they encountered a major problem in March that required a complete overhaul of how the message system works, and they didn't tell anybody. And that was what's was causing the delay of 4.0. Not 4.0 and 4.0 crime. I thought, other fans, I thought you were all in AI-generated NPCs. That is true also. Yeah, I think they would have. I don't like how CIG does this. So CIG has a rule. If something is broken, they're not going to tell you it's broken until they have a fix for it. So they didn't have a fix for it until the RMQ was released. And it seems like RMQ was first started to be just talked about in August. So it looks like they didn't have a fix with RMQ until August, which was around 3.24. I'm curious what is all left for the mission system to be transferred over. That's a good question, because based off their monthly reports, it sounds like it's pretty much, they had some granular information in there, which seems like it was ready to go. But what Benoit was saying was that they didn't want to add it to the test because it would add more variables that they're not testing for. We're getting We're getting some lore from you every day. No, you're not gonna get lore from me every day, but you're gonna get me more lore this fall. I wanted to do more lore over the summer, but I had a revelation. I saw it in a dream. But I had a realization that at the beginning of the summer, I dropped a bunch of longer form videos and they did really fucking well. And then I did a shorter form video and it fucking failed. And I was like, huh, maybe the problem isn't that I'm releasing like the wrong things, but that I'm releasing too short of things. Because the algorithm supports longer view time. So if your people are watching longer, then they're going to recommend the video more. So if you put up a video that's 40 minutes to an hour, and the average that'll increase the average view time from whatever it was before to, like, for instance, my average view time for most of these videos is over 15 minutes. And since the average view time that it seems like YouTube is looking for is like 10 minutes, it's recommending the video more. And because it's recommending the video more people are watching it. And because a lot of people can't watch 40 minutes in one sit down, they'll watch it for 20 minutes and then they'll watch it again, finish watching it later, or watch the whole thing and they have a chance to. Thank you, Akina. There's a lot of lore. There's a lore niche of about 20 minutes, 15 to 20 minutes. I've seen a lot of lore videos do about that, but most of the lore videos I tend to gravitate towards from other properties are over an hour long. So because I usually put them in the background, that kind of stuff. And so I started doing that, and lo and behold, all of my videos have been doing much better. So the problem about doing longer videos is that they take more effort, they take more time, they require very specific topics to do, and I am but one man. So it's taken me longer to write them, and I did an ambitious thing where I did Titanfall, the Titanfall lore video, and that took me like a month to do. So, and in July, I basically was gone for a month. I was gone for a couple of days and had a lot of issues like that. So, pretty sure that's why Space Tomato makes his deep dives 14 plus minutes. Yeah. So as a result, yeah, Paul the Gladiator's video is amazing. Check out this research stacked vid. Thank you. It's a classic dead topic. You don't say I have a problem and I can't fix it. It's better to say I have a problem and this is how I will fix it. Yeah, to go back to that sort of whole thing. My pet peeve is that CIG does that. I think CIG would get a lot more mileage by simply coming out and saying, hey, we recognize this problem. This is a problem. We have a solution we're working on and we'll come back to you when it's done. A lot more people would be understanding of that, and they would people would be more reflective of that if CIG was more upfront about it. And it's not something... that's something I like that CIG does, and it's something that they've been more frequently doing because they're getting more corporate. But it's like, we all sign onto this project to watch a game develop. If you're worried about people's reactions, no matter what, people are going to be angry. People are angry at Star Citizen for fucking anything. There are people who are legitimately pissed off at the power screen. The new power screen comes in and people take pictures of it and people are like, this sucks. It's like, what were you expecting? We knew that was going to happen. So, like, the reality is you have to understand that your audience is going to get mad at you no matter what, because your audience is filled with capital G gamers. They're going to complain. It's just what they do. As long as you are going forward with, you seem earnest and honest, and you're doing the best with what you have in a way that you can be expressed, then most people are going to get mad at you. Yeah, Benoit's writing was great. That's Benoit. What Benoit wrote was perfect, and I would love to see more people do that. I know that's not a skill that everyone has, and it's not something you want to necessarily have more devs put time to all the time. But I think if CIG wants to kind of smooth relations between the community, less crying, more buying, then that sort of thing is more important. Dude, CIG has to realize their player base is more aware of computing programming and issues in general. They will get more traction identifying issues. I am of the opinion that I've always been of the opinion of move fast, break shit. Like, move fast and break things. It's a game in development. I'd rather have CIG release absolute shit shows of patches that have significant progress, technical progress added to them, than for them to take that, rather than to take like 4 months to release a patch. It's still fucking on fire when it gets released anyways. Once CIG has got all the shit in the patch, in the game, then they can sit down and go, let's fix this. But once they've got their bedrock there, it's good. Yeah, we get 4 months to release a patch with inadequate technical progress. That's still a shit show. Yeah, effectively, long PTUs don't make the game better. They just release the same broken shit, but it takes longer for it to release. Because the problem is concurrency. CIG's concurrency at PTU doesn't matter. So having a PTU cycle, I'm sure, is still valuable just to handle some bigger issues. But finding those bigger issues, doing your best to fix them up, and then dropping them within 30 days, I think would be the tighter schedule. From Evocati to release in 30 days. That should be CIG's standard, in my opinion. Completely out of my ass. I am not a technical person. I just think that would probably be a better standard than the current average of 45. And it's gotten longer because CIG's taken longer to release some things. And I think, at least based off of CIG's current trajectory, they seem to agree with that, or they seem to be moving in that direction, because they created this brand new hotfix system for 3.24, which for me screams 4.0. After static server meshing and then dynamic meshing is complete, is there still any tech debt holding back the game? I'm gonna be with you, Teal. Static meshing is the only thing that's holding it back. Because the difference between dynamic and static is how the servers function, not how the gameplay interacts with the servers. As far as I know, fundamentally, the differences between static meshing and dynamic meshing when it comes to how those aspects interact with the game itself, like the gameplay, is almost nothing. A DGS is a DGS, no matter if it's static or dynamically meshed. And that means that there's probably no technical things that are holding back that aspect. The only thing that's really big technical that needs to be added after that is what they're calling StarSim now, which was the quantum system or the dynamic economy. And as of August, they seem to be in that direction of generating that, moving in that direction, what they call the mission factory system, which allows them to build missions for DGSs. Evo is there for a reason, because not everyone can handle Evo. No one can handle what CIG will do with you. Like, as a ridiculously long, I have been in Evocati since before Evocati was a thing, before I was even a content creator, and I'll tell you, there are Evocati patches which players cannot handle. Like, just straight up, players would not be able to handle it. Yeah, Evo is necessary. I think PTU is necessary only because it increases concurrency, but I think you can only increase concurrency so far before you just have to release it live. All the reworks of the old ships, they have barely added any functionality in the current game and that exists and where it's going. Which ships, though? Almost all of the ships in game now will have functionality with the new engineering system. I think there's a handful of ships that don't have their components in. One of them was the Freelancer, but it has its components now. I think it's the Connie doesn't have its components in. That's about it. Reliant, okay. The Reliant needs a lot of help, Radar. It needs a lot of help. Oh God. Titan, yeah, Titan as well. The Avenger in general. The Avenger and the Reliant and the Connie. But I think everything else has it. Does the Gladiator not have its components yet? I want to see that Freelancer comes with engineering. There are 3 co-pilots, useful seats. I think the 300 series needs a looking over too, but it has its component bays, so. Misc Refuser? Or Refueler. Oh, the Reclaimer and the Starfarer. Then again, I don't think either of those have removable components because they said size 3 and up are not removable. But pretty much what we've identified in terms of ships, other than, say, the Avenger, all of those ships are ships which are probably going to get once-overed once they come through with their big... There's 3 big overhauls that are coming up. The RSI is the current one they're doing. I would say the next one is probably going to be Misc, if not Drake. And then, Misc and Drake are the last 2. Those 3 are the last ones that have big, gigantic-ass ships that don't have like up-to-date specs. And I think with the RSI being the bigger one, because they're doing the Arastra, the Polaris, the Perseus, the Galaxy, those 4 are big. But I think in that process, they're probably going to do the Apollo, we'll redo the Connie, at least the interior, that kind of thing. Oh, yeah, the Orion, I forgot about that too, yeah. Anvil doesn't need a ton of help, but they definitely need some updates. That is 100% true. People throw around the phrase spaghetti code like they know what that means. There's a problem that that happens in the Star Citizen community, which is the Star Citizen community learns a code like tech debt or FOMO. They learn those words and then they use it to describe everything they don't like about CAG, which I think is dumb because it loosens, A, doesn't help the define those words, and B, it doesn't actually help any kind of critique of what CAG is doing. It is a humanity-wide issue, but with Star Citizen's fan base being more technically minded, I'd expect them to be better, but, you know. Yeah, I think they've removed with 3.24.2 or 4.0, one of the two. They have a huge list of ships. We talked about it last week that they've removed. Like they basically took down any ship that they wanted people to be able to maneuver around. They removed the sizes to size 2 because anything size 3 and up requires dry dock. The Apollo doesn't just need resources like medical gameplay. It also needed modular to be modular because that's how it works, which it sort of has now. It'll have now, and it needs drone gameplay, which is not in there. Ren, the answer is that CIG fucked up. They fucked up on designing their ships, and this is a solution to the problem they created, which is there are ships that have size 3 components which you cannot take them out because the doorways to get them out are not big enough. So again, CIG designed ships before they knew what the fuck they were doing, and now that they know what they're doing, they're like, oh fuck. So now their solution is just, we'll figure it out later. Switch the things out and fix the things around. Will they finish the entirety of RSI ships? Probably next year. You can't even fit size 2 components down the Redeemer ladder because it's designed like shit. Because it's fundamentally fucked. Its design was bad from the beginning. Fuck do I know? There's a reason I hate that ship. And it's because it is a textbook case of doing all of the wrong things in gaming. It is like a microcosm of like the worst parts of Star Citizen and gaming. Do you think we're going to see any more cap ship concepts? I don't think so. CIG's been very cautious to give ships that are cap size and larger. Most of the ships they're giving are like large size. And even then, I think they only want to do like 1 or 2. I love the Redeemer out of spite of you. As I've always said, the opposite of love isn't hate. The opposite of love is apathy. I hate it, so I do love it in a way that I want to see it be better. It is like a child, it is like a student that is failing at everything. And the problem is the student could succeed and has some unique abilities and isn't an awful waste of time and space. They could do better, but they just constantly refuse to. And their parents hate them. And I'm sad. And I'm also mad because they know that they know better and they're refusing to do so. And that can drive you insane. It's just a very frustrating ship. This sounds specific. I'm using an analogy. It's not a specific analogy, but I'm using an analogy because I haven't had students directly like that, but I have that feeling a lot where like there's students who are 100% able to do well, but they don't. And often the reason why students who are failing don't do well is because their parents don't care. And that can be the most frustrating experience when you see a student who's bright, who has a good chance of doing things, they're creative, and you're like, you can see the potential in them. You can see the inquisitiveness, the curiosity. You can see when they do really good and they get a good grade, you can see them improve and like, oh wow, I can actually do this? I can get an A? And then you see the world around them just give up on them. And it's like, fuck, why do I even try sometimes? I love the Redeemer in the same way that I'm frustrated by it. It's an example of wasted potential, which is why I hate it. It's just frustrating in all ways, shapes, or forms. Wait, does that mean in this analogy, I did report it to the state, and the state said nothing happened. It's fine. It's not a fine ship, Captain No Pants. It is a disaster. Like I said, the opposite of love isn't hate, it's apathy. I'm not apathetic about the ship. I want it to do better. But every turn, it just gets worse. And it stems from the fact that at its core, it was designed badly. It was designed to win a contest, not designed to be a ship. At least Paul will soon see it nerfed into irrelevance and clownery. That makes it even worse. Honestly, because it means that we gave up perfection. Amazing, like beautiful, wonderful, the absolutely like awe-inspiring design that was the Brutus, the Drake Brutus. You could have had the Redeemer, but in Drake styling with guns, and it looks like just like a fat buccaneer, and you could have had all of that, but instead you got the Redeemer. It makes me want to throw things. We did not deserve the Brutus. All right. This is why I have to educate you all on the Drake Brutus.
Hey, Captain Simon from
Okay. It's called the AC-240 Mark II Brutus. I'm gonna have I need a good thing for this.
Them biddies.
Paul, give it up. The Brutus would have been implemented by the same geniuses who implemented the Redeemer. You'd hate it even more, would a forced to defend it.
No, because it wasn't designed to be bad. It is fundamentally a Drake ship. It has fundamental it benefits as a Drake ship. It would have benefited from the designs of things like the cutlassry design that came in after this, and the Buccaneer. This would have dramatically improved. Let me go put up this one. Hold on.
Them biddies.
Lie to yourself all you want, Paul, but we both know that ITD have been bungled, then nerfed, then ruined, and the community would hate it.
I'd still love it. All right, here we go. I have some music to play, and we're gonna watch it real quick. This is the Drake Brutus gunship.
Sig would have fumbled the implementation of this ship too, then it'd be a broken, busted embarrassment outclassed by the Corsair.
So, okay. So, what the Brutus was one of the in what was called the next great starship. They which is a competition for, which was basically CIG trying to hire people. They had people design a gunship that would then be sold to backers. And the top three was, the third place was this, the Drake Brutus, which was designed by a crew called Team Shimmy Pan. It was like 2 or 3 people. And then the second place was the Boomslang. And the first place was the Redeemer. The Redeemer won because they had A, better marketing, B, they were able to kind of pander to the fans because it was designed to win a contest. And there's no C. It's just, it had better marketing. And they were, they were also done a lot faster. And it was clear that the reason why they're done a lot faster because they just kind of said, eh. And now the reason why the Boomslang, I think the Boomslang was bad. Like, Boomslang was a solid third place, but it wasn't a second place. I think the Brutus was definitely a second place contender. It's like the Valk and the Cutlass had a baby, which is perfect. And I know what you're saying, they would have fucked it up. But the thing is that this is already A, Drake style. B, there's already a lot of elements onto this, which could have easily mapped onto from the Corsair, from the Cutlass. Like, the problem was that the unique design, shape, and style was not Aegis for the Redeemer. So CIG didn't know what to do with it. And so originally the area that is the back area that we see in the Redeemer, that was the living area. That's what, when the team that built Four Horsemen, which is the team, when they built that was the living area, and the area below was the drop seat area. And so when CIG designed it, they inverted it and fucked it all up. You couldn't fuck this up. There is no up and down. There's no second deck. It's just one deck. CIG couldn't have fucked it up. The most they would have done was change some of the seats, things around, maybe change the entry and entrance ways, but it would have not been just fundamentally fucked like they fucked with the Redeemer. It looks great, but the only thing is, but the thing is like the Redeemer got changed over when it was from the fan concept to its final version while keeping the same design. They could have done the same thing with this. They could have removed the side seats entirely. What do you think about the nerf of the Redeemer? I think it's probably more in line with what it should be, but it still needs better. My Drake bias is showing. How about now? Oh, it's just so frustrating. It probably would have won if it was just an origin version of, instead of Drake. Just saying. Well, this is before the Drake supremacy became the call sign. At the time, Drake was kind of looked down upon by a lot of the backer base, and then as the Cutlass became the best ship in the game, for like players to average player to play, people were like, I love the Cutlass, and it's like the Cutlass was the first ship that CIG nailed. The Cutlass is perfect. CIG has perfected Drake with the Cutlass, and once they realized they perfected Drake with the Cutlass, the in-lore joke of that every Drake ship is a Cutlass became a thing, and CIG's like, oh, it's like CIG just like clicked. Everything just worked in CIG's brain. They're like, oh, I fucking get it. And then the designers just made Drake. And it's like, no notes. You know exactly what you're doing now. This fucking works. Cuddy was also redesigned. Yeah, that's what I mean. The redesigned Cuddy was perfect. When they redesigned the Cuddy from its original to the greased up pig on ice skates to what it is now was perfect. I think the only ship brand that they've nailed more than Drake is Argo. It's not idiot proof, but it's really hard to fuck up the booms, the Brutus. It's really hard to fuck up the Brutus. The Brutus design was really good. And you know who agrees with me? CIG, because Team Four Horsemen didn't go work for CIG. They went off and worked another place. You know who worked at CIG up until fairly recently? The entirety of Team Shimipan. They all worked in the ship team for a while. So they were making the fucking ships for CIG. So they, like, obviously CIG and them had the good mind connections. Yeah, Vic, I think, is the one. Vic was the one who was working for them. I think, does he still work for them? Well, the main guy who on Deemer worked for them and then moved over to Cyberpunk. Yeah, you can actually see some of his design styles in there too. All right, Team Shimipan. Ah, they don't have their names. I don't remember who it is because I remember seeing them in a couple of they're art students. There was like 3 of them. So wait, so you're saying the CIG did or they did hire the Brutus team afterwards? I think the Brutus, all of the top 3 teams worked for CIG. In fact, Try, which was basically the Drake Silverback. Hold on, I'll show you Drake Silverback. Hold on, because you're gonna recognize somebody.
Hello, Star Citizen fans and CIG. This is ePhalanx here with Team Try, ready to give you another update on the AX-14 Silverback. So, we hope you guys are ready to see what we have in store. We've done a lot of work and pieces. These are that you can see. There's some other older shots that we had.
No, this isn't the right
playing
one.
With, and you can see we've done that. Areas in here.
No, I'm wrong on that one. Who was it? The Guardian? No. I want to say it was the Silverback. One of the members of who worked with the next great starship ended up making ended up being he's the head of CIG's ship team in LA. Oh no! So what I meant, Omega, was Four Horsemen worked for CIG and then they moved on. They didn't really work for very long, but the Shimmy Pan folks worked there for longer, and were really meshed. I think they were the ones who actually built the Buccaneer, I want to say. So yeah. Was it Skyguard?
So here's a reminder of what the ship looked like during the last submission, with all the color sections for the texture blocked out. I have barely had enough time in order to actually work on the ship since the last submission, so I haven't had a chance to touch the exterior. And
Recognize
again,
the
just
voice?
the turntable of the top turret of the ship, which I think looks pretty cool still. And here we have a very quick, brief fly-through of the blocked-out interior. It still needs quite a bit of detailing on the geometry, but this gives you a better idea of what the space is like. You have a massive cargo bay, which you can completely fill with cargo if you want to sacrifice the use of your turrets. And here you see that you have to go up some steps in order to actually get to the cockpit.
He redesigned the Mustangs and he designed the Sulin. I think the Sulin. Swillen. I can't even say the name of it. Elwin, thank you. Elwin, that's his name. Elwin, who is now the head of ship team for LA. That's where he got to start. He's got to start working, doing the next great starship. Looks kind of like the Legionnaire. I do wonder if Elwin's working on the Legionnaire, honestly. And he fixed the Aurora, yeah. The guy who killed the Bangstang? Yes. Here, I'll be right back, chat. Oh.
Barcelona! Barcelona!
Weapons free, y'all.
2 words. Distress.
Mission complete. Burrito I eat. There you go.
Stand by for Titanfall.
I'm just an old-fashioned cowboy.
Elwin's pretty good. I'm not gonna poo-poo on Elwin too much.
Drugs.
The bane of Twitch chat. My name is Paul, Berserker01, Batman Shelley, your humble host and space bartender here at the AstroPub, your space bar and the end of the universe. Sit back, relax, enjoy the show. We got to go for you. How y'all doing? Looks like the Steam updated their subscriber agreement. Everyone has to agree to updated dispute resolution provisions are in Section 10 and require all claims and disputes to proceed in court and not in arbitration. Really? That's interesting. Thoughts and prayers of Florida residents. Sounds like things are getting dicey over there. Yeah, we had a couple people come in and talk about it. There was a huge storm surge that hit. So, with Montreal being done with the Zeus, do you think they'll start with the Galaxy next or continue with the RSI medical ship? I think they may start with the Perseus or probably the I don't think the I think they're going to wait for more functionality for the Apollo to be done. But I could definitely see them with them finishing up the Zeus. They got to finish up the other Zeus first. But I could definitely see some of that team working on the Perseus or the Galaxy. But you got to remember, the team that's working on the Polaris right now is probably also going to work on whatever ship that is. So the Orion's not going to happen until the Arrastra's in. The Arrastra is the stopover before the Orion. I could see the Galaxy and the Perseus being made at the same time by two different teams. Base building almost certainly is going to happen. And again, if the Zeus, if the team if they're really focusing on RSI and they have the team in Montreal working on the ships, I could see the team in Montreal pivoting from the Zeus to the Perseus. Especially the Zeus MR to the Perseus, that seems like a very natural progression. Or to the Galaxy, one of the two. I saw the Zeus video today on Reddit. Man, it looks so good. This is the first time I've ever seen it really just hyped for a ship like this. Maybe if they sell the, now that they're selling the Zeus, maybe they could sell the motherfucking OG of all space fighters. The indefinable, wonderful, weaponized tube itself. The Elio Harmon Stiletto Interceptor. For those of you who don't know, the Stiletto is the thing that allowed for the development of the Gladius. And they knew it because of Paul's video. I'd also settle for the Comet. You know? They're not gonna move away from bespoke weapons. It's gonna be bespoke. But no one has launch tubes. You just have it done by Asperia, and what you have it done by is you basically do it as a similar to the Fury. Basically make it like the Fury. The stiletto was an escape pod with guns. The size of a hornet. I do think the Comet would probably be a little bit better because the Comet already has some nods in there with the saber. And if you wanted to make like a saber, but like super basic, it'd be cool. Like an intro racing ship almost, maybe? The only ship I really, really want that's in lore that I think would be cool to be put in there is the Jackal. The Jackal, which is the defensive version of the Hurricane. We've got the Talon, the Jackal, and the Prowler. Oh, and the Drake Lobster. There we go. There you go, CIG. You can do the Drake Lobster, and you can just bring back. You can make amends. You're making everything good. Just redesign the Brutus, take the Brutus concept, and just redesign that, and call it the Drake Lobster, and I will forgive everything. I just want my gold standard, man. For what? TK Rex? Which ship? I'm a Saber fanboy. I hate the Peregrine and the Firebird. We're not going to get any gold standards until they, we're not going to get the gold standards until they are probably after Squadron 42. If CIG gives me the Lobster and it's just the Brutus, as if it's the gunship, because that's a great name for a fucking gunship. The Lobster. Don't tell me that's not a cool fucking name for a gunship. The Drake Lobster gunship. Snip the competition. The weakness is the rubber bands. And why you call it the Lobster is because it's got gun pods instead of like gun like attachment points.
Biddies.
Hey Paul, this monkey paw just curled a finger and I'm not sure why.
You just have it like it has like wings and little tiny like winglets, and it has like gun pods on them that open and close like lobster claws, which is why they got the name the Lobster. But it's just hard points that just have open and close, like protected gun points, and that's it. Well, I now know that the wildcat that's mentioned in lore all over the place is just the Gladius. Kind of like how the, there's another ship that was like constantly referenced as this thing, and then afterwards they just said, oh, by the way, this is the ship. It's just this. It's not actually that, it's this. Like a king crab battle mech, exactly. Quick stealing. I'm not stealing, I'm borrowing. Just like Battletech borrowed all of its ideas from mecha anime. So the Bearcat was Aegis's attempt. It's the Aegis version of the Hawk. I don't need to see the data about the crab mining thing. Hold on. Here you go. Hornet Sidness. Person Sidness. There it is in engine, in game. There it is hanging up there. I believe these were the turrets for the Javelin. No, that's not it. There you go.
They started off pretty small, you know. I mean, they were just like, yeah, we'll just put some mining drones in the background. They fly around and they just go and harvest. But then initially they started off pretty small, you know, like the size of a transit van. But now they're like absolutely huge.
I don't need leaks. CIG has already showed us these.
Mining rigs, that you know, go down and you can fix things, but you know they've grown and grown since then.
Then we came back. Was it? Got to stick a cab on it. Yeah. So a fully working cab, so you could get into it and you know fly around.
Yeah, potentially in the persistent universe, you know, people could take these rigs and you know if they had a big enough setup and go out and mine for themselves. So you know, there'd be a cost involved, obviously, because these things are huge.
Thanks for joining us here at Foundry 42.
Like I said, you don't need leaks. That shit's been out forever. Ah, yes, the video from 3,000 years ago. To give you context, this video is over 10 years old. This is from February 26th, 2014. No, cab seat. Yeah, but the data thing of the thing is inside the 0.2 Evo. Probably leftover code from Squadron. They move sort of like the Atlas. Space Marine 2, Rum and Paul talking about Star Citizen in the background. I'm winning the life this evening. Drake Lobster. No. Yeah. Drake Lobster. That's like when Sean Tracy said the Titan suits were all but done 7 years ago, except the hallways would defeat them. I'm sure like a lot of things, there are things that get updated over time and get changed, and they kind of like, development isn't a linear process. You work on something, you pause it, you put it aside, you work on something else, then you go back to it, and then, you know, you start working things, you go, oh, we need to update the shaders here, that kind of stuff, you know. Everything in Star Citizen is all but done. I honestly think what happened, and I think this is pretty clear at this point, is that CIG did have a lot of things in stages that we were at, like maybe 2 years ago. Like 2015, Star Citizen was in a stage where it found its niche, it found where it was going to go, and it started developing in that direction. And then Crytek had to go and have financial problems, and so a ton of the original cryoengineers who built the fucking engine needed a job, and CIG hired them. And, you know, 1 or 2 people ended up getting hired who just built Planetary Landing. And then Chris said, throw everything we just did away. We're doing this now. Yeah, there was that was Ilphonic, which is kind of ironic now, considering how Ilphonic has. They're not very popular, is what I've heard, for what they did with Friday the 13th, the game, and Killer Clowns from Outer Space, the game. What if the Brutus winds up being a combo gunship salvage ship? I'd be fine with it. I don't care. Is that ball still a thing in the universe? Not Friday the 13th was good. I heard mixed reviews about it, and then I've heard that the Killer Clowns from Outer Space was just awful. Not for us though. Yep. It's not coming out anytime soon. I do think that's something that they'll do eventually, but that's like a nice to have in the future. Do you think we'll have a 4.0 Moro tour? Not a 4.0. We'll definitely see a new version of the Moro tour. I think that's really the big This release was bugged at the start, but seems to work most of the time now, so I'm okay with tossing toys out, the cotton and starting again. I mean, I don't think CIG is going to do that anymore. That was definitely something they did early on, which, for better or worse, has delayed most of the delays. CIG will never come out and admit that, because by admitting that, they will be admitting that that they had been keeping a lot of this secret for, from the backers. And that will make them look bad, so they better shut the fuck up and let it happen. Let people keep memeing them about how, you know, they were, you know, lying to this community or whatever, about things being almost done, and then just sort of roll with the punches. There's some really good investigative journalism that was done in like 2015, 2016, which talks about a lot of the issues that CIG was having internally. That was a pretty good one about, like, they had a hard time keeping people around because they didn't have a lot of people who knew how to use CryEngine, so they hired anyone who could use CryEngine. And there's a couple people who were like legitimate creepers that they had to fire pretty early on. There was a good report that I saw from that where, like, at one point they just started lining people up and sending them into Chris's office, and Chris would just fire them based off of their performance. And that was a huge problem, is they just couldn't get enough people to work. And then Crytek imploded, and then Sean Tracy began to work for CIG, and then they got a bunch of people who worked on the original Crisis and built the CryEngine to work for them. They opened up Frankfurt just because of that, and that's when things started to, like, shift away from the sort of stagnant nightmare that was the pre-Arena Commander days, or around Arena Commander days in 2.0, towards more what we have today. Good night there, Midnight. Do we really think that CIG buttoning up when things go wrong is the correct strategy for CIG to keep the money rolling in? No. I don't think that at all. But I know why they did it. Now, they don't have another system to toss in, really, that would work. I don't understand why they do it if it doesn't help them make money, because I mean, I'm going to say this, and it's going to sound controversial because, you know, contrary to popular belief, CIG, their job or their goal for Star Citizen isn't to make money. Asterisk. Of course, their job is to make money because they want to stay open, but they don't want to make all of the money. I think a lot of the reasons why they don't say it is because just they don't have a lot of they don't have a good grasp of public relations, and their marketing team is too old school right now. Call it what you want, man. Yeah, the old adage, never associate malice which can be associated with incompetence. We know Pappy moved, but what's the deal with Tony Z? As a couple months ago, one of Space Tomatoes community members ran into Tony Z in Austin and talked with them and got a picture with them and had a bunch of things and talked with Tony about like if they're still working for CIG. And Tony's like, yeah, I still work at CIG, and talked a little bit about Star Sim and other things like that. So Tony's still working for CIG, but I will tell you what I've heard about Tony Z was that during one of the early tours, when they were giving backers tours of CIG Austin, one backer kind of broke down and cried, like getting on his knees in front of Tony Z and like holding on to him, and Tony was just like, what the fuck, man. And since then, no one really sees Tony Z on tours when you go on tours, because he just doesn't stay in the office because he's you know, kind of introverted, generally speaking. And so yeah, the reason why we haven't seen Tony Z is probably because there's just nothing for Tony Z to show. Hanlon's Razor, yeah. Gee, I can't imagine why that would make him less likely to appear in public, especially amongst the community. People treat Tony Z like he's some sort of messiah, and he's just a developer. Which is sad because it's been like 4 years since we've heard from him. Let's see, when did we last hear from him? Was it 2019 CitizenCon, I think? No, it was like one of the other it was like one of the COVID CitizenCons. He did a video. When was that? Let me look it up real quick. Three years ago. 2021 was the last time we heard from him. Nailed it. Give me my points. I don't know, T-Jack. All I know is that it happened, and there's a reason why Tony Z doesn't meet with people anymore. Though it seems like he was pretty cool with Tomatoes, like, because I think it was a situation where just a couple of people who live in Austin who follow Tomato, or just were in Austin for some reason, just bumped into him in the street and were just like, Tony Z? And Tony be like, oh, hi, I guess. And then them talking to Tony be like, hey, where are you still working for Star Citizen and CIG? That kind of thing. And he's like, yeah, still there. So they live there. Do you know who it was, Vastin? Because I know it was Tomato it originally came from, but it was like this summer that it was talking about. No, it wasn't Tomato who saw him. It was some people from Tomato's stream, his community. Not saying their names in chat, though. That's fine. If a grown man starts crying and hanging onto another man's leg, it's because that fan needs some therapy. Indeed. Tony Z is in deep meditation, projecting his consciousness into the astral realm so he may learn the secrets of the universe and how to simulate it. Real talk, Star Sim, aka being an economy, aka items and players' actions mattering to us, is the biggest thing holding back the game from feeling like the game I want to play. I think we'll start seeing some of that with 4.0, but I don't think we're going to see that fully implemented until next year at the earliest. Ooh. Ooh. All right, y'all, we're coming to the end. I've been streaming for almost 3 hours now, and I got to get up early to go to work tomorrow. Whew. Once I get done with this work today, tomorrow, I will be so happy. But I will be back tomorrow for another stream with Loken. We'll be playing some Space Marine 2. And then we'll be doing Captain's Table on Saturday with Griffin Gaming RPG and Major Stars. I want to say Starscream, that's wrong. Star Stuff, Major Star Stuff. And we'll be talking about, as Griffin suggested this, crying and buying. Why did we have so much drama in September, yet have the biggest September's this September being the biggest month of funding, the biggest September of funding in CIG's history. We're going to get spicy. No teaching for me. Hurricane Day in the Bay. Hopefully you're safe, Vickers. Ooh. In the meantime, if you want more content, check out the latest lore video on the Gladius. It's 47 minutes, and I would say about 40 of it is just on Star Citizen lore alone, and about 20 of that is just the Gladius and its history, and everything else is the context of the Gladius's development. Tentatively playing Space Marine 2. Careful, Astro Star Citizen doesn't like it when you declare plans. Well, at the very earliest, CIG is going to be releasing the Evocati of 3.24.2 tomorrow, not the PTU, and they're not doing a server meshing test this week. Period. So, when will this game be officially released? 1 to 5 years, closer to 5 than 1. And when it's officially released, it's not going to be a finished release. It's going to be more like a beta soft launch, but they're going to call it release. They just got back from watching that video. So well done. I'm glad. Thank you for watching it there. Good night, all. Hope my power comes back soon. Yeah, hopefully it does for you too. I hope it does for you too. Hopefully the storm comes through pretty quickly. All right. I'm going to call it a night. Thank you for hanging out. Thank you for watching. And like I say every night, hope to see you someday in the black.